Everybody say away. When you hear all the negativity, leading away from all the possibilities, say away, away. Bad news far away. Voicemail, I call you back. Disappointment, heartbreak, gotta go away, away. Bad vibes far away.
Yep, so technology over the years has evolved in several ways and forms and shapes, but its original intent hasn't. It hasn't changed at all. Today's topic is relevant because there's been lots of misconceptions about what technology is, where it's from, what and who it's for. These are a few very legit questions that have unfortunately generated a lot of misleading answers. I believe breaking some ideological chains around technology is in the right step. Let's get a proper understanding of technology in this episode, shall we? Okay, so my name is Perich, and yeah, this podcast is weekly, so it's my weekly digest.
Everybody say my way. When you hear of peace and joy, increase favor, increase grace, say my way, my way. Testimonies in my way. Ideas, good connect. Innovations, money, come my way, my way. Good news.
Okay, so as you're well aware of from our previous episode, that this podcast is all about the church and technology, the effect of technology in and on the church, and how technology can be very beneficial in the present and future of the church. Yeah, but before I proceed to dig in very deep, I think it's best we clearly understand what technology means. I think it's just fair we do. The word technology will most probably be used a lot. Yes, it's going to be used a lot on this podcast. So understanding it will be a very good foundation for every one of us. What exactly does it mean? How does it relate to the church? Is it even scriptural? Yes, is technology even scriptural? Well, these questions and similar ones will be addressed in this episode and, of course, in subsequent ones as well. Okay, so let's begin with what technology means. Technology, it is the application of scientific knowledge for practical purpose, especially in industry. It's machinery and equipment developed from the application of scientific knowledge. Whoosh! I hope that was not too much for you, and I hope it didn't get you confused. Well, if it did, let me give it to you in plain language. It is the invention of useful things to solve problems. Simplicity. This simply means technology is the creation of things to make life easier. So you see, technology is basically for and about problem solving. Now, take note of the keyword I used, basically. And as long as there is, and there will be problems in our homes, in our churches, in our schools, in our offices, and in all our human endeavors, trust me, technology will be relevant. You can also say if humans are involved, then technology is involved. So you see, human and technology are purposefully intertwined and interwoven. Right, so from our definition, you can see the importance of technology can neither be ignored nor overemphasized in any human endeavor. And as seen from the genesis of man in the Garden of Eden, when God produced a cloth to cover up man, he solved a problem of nakedness by the creation of cloth. Remember the definition, the basic definition of technology we gave earlier. So it is basically for and about problem solving. So God solved the problem of nakedness by producing a cloth. So the relevance of technology in our everyday lives is enormous, really enormous. But To make reference to just a few significant ones, look at the impact of technology in communication, for example. Comparing the means of communication just a few years ago to the recent ones show a really applaudable impact of technology in its efficiency, in its safety, and its mobility. You see, also technology has really enhanced transportation. We no longer need to travel long distances by foot, on horses, or on camels. I mean, imagine having to walk very, very long distances on foot. That would really, really be uncomfortable. But today, technology has given us cars, has given us planes, has given us trains, etc. That travels, relatively faster and, quite safer too. But then let me quickly backtrack to address a bit more on the relevance of technology in the evolution of communication. Technology has made communications not only to change in forms and functions, but its ability to reach longer distances and larger audience. Cavemen, used drawings within caves to communicate messages. Then there was the smoke signal for long distance communication. This wasn't enough, so the use of carrier pigeons, birds, to carry handwritten notes across cities also came into existence. Very interesting. But then the industrial age set in. Then there was an introduction of more advanced forms of communication, such as the telegraphs, which allowed communication in the Morse code, M-O-R-S-E, Morse code. We'll address it obviously in another episode. And the telephone, which introduced voice communication across long distances. The telephone, also evolved. The telephone also evolved to the mobile phone, and then today we have the smartphones that serve much purposes than just as a means of communication. And I'm sure you are obviously listening to me on a smartphone. Technology made it simpler, made it easier, and possibly cheaper to communicate. So with these definitions and impact reports of tech, let's talk about some types available. Some include bus tech or business technology, which basically is the technology that helps an organization run its business and operational processes. A few examples I would want to give include software and productivity tools, networking of computers and printers, financial accounting systems, customer relationship management systems. These are just a few under the business technology. Then we also have agri-tech, agricultural technology. These are innovations to increase production, to resolve chemophysical, biological, and socio-economic constraints related to crop production systems. Some examples, are the soil and water sensors, the weather tracking, satellite imaging, and vertical farming. Then, very interestingly, and one that I love so much, is the edutech, which is the educational technology. And these are inventions or innovations to facilitate learning by way of technological resources. Some examples include the digital readers and tablets, the 3D printing, the virtual reality, the artificial intelligence. Then we also have the medtech or medical technology, and it's the application of organized knowledge and skills in the form of devices, medicines, vaccines, procedures, and systems developed to solve health problems and improve quality of lives. And we could really see the medtech in action in the current fight against the coronavirus around the world. And some examples we can readily give include the robotic surgery, where we have robots performing surgeries on humans. We have robots performing surgeries on humans. Very interesting. Then we also have artificial organs, very interesting too. We have the health wearables. We have the wireless brain sensor, and just a few, just to name a few. But there's obviously a vast array of technology types, even though two or more could be classified under the same umbrella. I mean, for instance, there is information technology and communication technology, but because of the singularity of purpose, they are placed under the umbrella information and communication technology, simply put ICT, which is any piece of software or equipment responsible for delivering, storing, or sending information. Yeah, I'm sure you can already guess a few examples of ICT. Some include the personal computers and its accessories, the computer networks, the landline, the mobile phones, the internet, the email, and so many of them. But hold on. Remember, this podcast is about the church and technology. So it wouldn't be complete for me if I'm not speaking about technology in the church. So in talking about the types of technology, I would make mention of another type of technology that will be addressed in a special episode, and it's Christic, or better still, Christian technology. Yeah, in a nutshell, Christic or Christian technology is any invention or innovation that enhances the activities and processes of the Christian and the church. Christic. Cool, right? Yeah, very cool.
Everybody say my way, my way. Showers of blessings in my way.
Now, it's very instructive to note that in talking about technology, it's only fair to trace its origin. So, per the definition of technology being the creation of things that makes life easier, it's kind of seems to concur with the first verse in the Holy Bible. That's in Genesis 1:1, which says, "In the beginning, God created." There was a creation or inventing. In Genesis 1:26, the Bible says, God was talking here. He said, "Let us therefore create man in our image and likeness." In other words, let us create man like we look. Let us create man like we act. So God, being a creator, was creating man to also be a creator. Man was thus created to have the very creative ability as God. So you are creative. Yes, you listening, you are creative. There's therefore no surprise that over the years, man has been creating and inventing. He obviously got it from the first inventor, and your guess is as good as mine. God is the first inventor. In Genesis 4:22, one of Cain's descendants, remember Cain? Yes, from Adam. Yeah, one of his descendants by name Tubal Cain created tools. In other words, he created technology out of bronze and iron. Also, the very popular story of Noah building the ark was a monumental technological breakthrough in transportation, and you can see that story in Genesis 6. Let's fast forward to in the New Testament. We find Paul, the Apostle Paul, making use of communication technology when he wrote letters, sent letters to the many churches. It would therefore be quite erroneous for any Christian to tag today's technological advancement as demonic. That really will be a slap on God's creative ability. Hosea 4 verse 6 says that my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. So I entreat you, let this podcast, if you're a Christian listening to this podcast, let this podcast be your opportunity as a Christian to have a second look at technology. Technology cannot be from the devil. But yeah, let me be quick to add that I know, I'm very much aware that there are negative aspects of technology, but hey, that's like every other human endeavor. There are highs and there are lows. Nonetheless, remember that like every other thing in the hands of a bad person, it would be used for evil. Likewise, in the hands of a good person, would be used for good. Like the saying has always been that fire can be a good master, but it can be a good servant or master, but whatever. All right. So the saying has always been, that evil will always prevail when good men do little or nothing. So get involved. So with all the good intentions we have as Christians, if we leave technology to the evil masterminds, evil will keep prevailing. Trust me, it would keep prevailing and would have so much praying to do. This means our involvement is crucial. We've got to be involved. This is a charge to every Christian. We've got to be involved, in a very crucial way. Even as we are praying, we have to get involved. We have to embrace technology. We have to develop Christic. For instance, a few hours ago on the 27th of March, we had Pastor Chris and Pastor Benny Hinn leading over 3 billion people from around the world to pray. You heard right, over 3 billion people to pray. Now, how would this have been possible if we had not, or Pastor Chris had not invested heavily into technology? You get it? So we need to be fully involved and fully involved in a very crucial way. Let's push Christian technology. Let's push it. Okay. So I would end this episode. Yes. I would have to end. I don't want to end, but I would have to end this episode with a few scriptures, that would help enlighten you on invention, innovations, or technology in the Bible. So you could look at Genesis 1:1. You could also look at Exodus 31 from verse 1 to 6. You could also look at Isaiah 45 verse 12. You could also look at 2 Chronicles verse 26 verse 15, chapter 26 verse 15. You could look at Revelations 4:11.